Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl Stubbs, and thank you for joining me for another episode of The Stubbs Show. Oh man, today's show is really going to encourage you and let you know that you can get back up. My special guest is Mr. Bomani Perkins, who's telling his story of going from rock bottom to 6 years of sobriety. So it's an honor to have him on to share his testimony. So you know what? I'm not going to hold you guys. Let's go ahead and get this show started. Talking about her book, Growing Up. What is your rock bottom? We all have a rock bottom, and so many times we see people going through things in life and struggling, and to you, you may say, I couldn't put up with that. I wouldn't be able to handle that. I couldn't take it. But that's not your rock bottom. You know, you see some people and you start saying things such as, you know, why don't they stop doing this, or why do they keep doing this, or they need to stop doing, well, they haven't hit their rock bottom. And so many times we have to get down to our rock bottom in order to start coming back up. So thank you for joining us here on the Stubbs Show. Say hello to the guys and introduce yourself.
Yes, greetings everyone. I am Bomani Perkins Sr. Some of my close friends and family call me Bo. I was raised in Washington, D.C. I've been a resident of Washington, D.C. for over 40 years. Just recently, you can say I jumped ship. I moved.
Everybody doing it, don't feel bad about that.
I moved out of Maryland, but I'm always, you know, I'm always a resident of DC. You know, it's an honor to be on this show today. You know, and the topic that means so much to me, and has a lot to do with my story.
Don't go too far.
No. A part of my story that that's what we're here for today. So, yeah, I'm grateful.
I didn't want him to give away too much because he got a great story. But I met him through Facebook. He had a picture up of him sleeping on the ground. That picture is now showing for you guys to see. And he was down right there, but he's celebrating 6 years this year.
Oh, sobriety, yeah.
6 years of sobriety. So take us back to the day of this picture.
So that picture, that actual picture, and I'm mad I didn't bring it with me.
That's okay. It's showing on the video.
But the actual picture was 11 days before I started my journey. So that made it the 12th of May 2016. And that particular picture, I was caught. You know, I wasn't in my right mind state at the time. You know, someone captured that moment, and I didn't see that picture until a year after I was sober. Somebody pointed it out to me that, man, you know, it was a picture of you on Facebook, and when I seen it, it was the first time I ever seen myself when I was in my mess like that, and I automatically just wanted the picture because I felt like I needed that picture in my life, and it was definitely, which I call today my gratitude picture, because it helps me remember where I came from and what could happen if I decided to take the same path back again. So, and also I like using that picture to help other people too, because like you said, I don't look like what I went through. So a lot of people see me today, and you know, everyone has a story, you know, and I feel like my purpose today is to help people before they get to that particular point. You know, everybody's rock bottom is different. You know, the topic of our discussion today, you know. I like to say a lot of bad decisions, first and foremost. A lot of substance abuse. And basically, I want to use those two things as the foundation of what led me to where I was at in that picture. I lost my mom in 2011, and at that time I was at home with my kids and their mom. I was the head of the household. I was the provider. You know, I was the king. But when my mom passed, I didn't know how to cope. Just the way I dealt with it at that particular time, as I look back now, it wasn't productive to a productive life.
So was that the thing that started the downfall?
Yeah, I made a decision. You know, I got laid off from my job. I was making good money too, and instead of me getting back in line to get back to work, you know, I remember telling my kid's mom at the moment that, you know, it's time for you to go to work now, because I was taking care of everything. She was at home, taking care of our infant kids and stuff. So
which is a hell of a job, but go ahead.
So I told her that, you know, it's time for you to go to work, and I'm gonna be the stay-home dad. I remember I cleaned out all my expenses accounts and stuff, as far as my 401k, and paid all my debts and stuff like that. And the money that I had left over, I decided that, you know, I'm gonna run back to the streets and try to, you know, flip the money and stuff like that. That was the extent of my thinking at that time. You know, even though I was a hardworking brother at the time and stuff like that, but I was still street oriented.
Looking for a quick way out.
I mean, anytime, you know, the stuff hit the fan, I would always run to the streets. Okay. That's what I did at that moment. And I was mourning and stressing over the loss of my mom, and basically I ran back to the streets, and, you know, the streets helped me out the best way they could help me out. And that was in 2011. After me making that decision, a month later, you know, my kid's mom asked me to leave the house because she didn't want to be part of nobody, you know, dealing with drugs or anything like that. And I left the household, ended up staying with my sister at the time. And that's when the ball started rolling downhill, because I was on the streets every day. But in 2013, another close friend of mine passed away too. And that was, if I had my hand on any type of wheel at that moment, I just let go. And,
you gave in.
And whatever, anything I was doing for substance abuse or alcohol or anything like that, I just turned it all the way up. And I just didn't really care anymore, you know.
You know, people always, you know, think that it couldn't be them or wouldn't be them, but it could be them at any moment. And you got to a point where you just said, I don't care. So is that when you started doing the substance abuse to numb the pain?
That was the only thing I thought at that time could help me. You know, growing up in the type of environment I grew up in, and some of us probably grew up in too, you know, that's how we dealt with stuff. Not that we needed a reason to dabble in any type of substance abuse, but when tragic things like that happen, that's how we dealt with it, you know, and that's what happened. I thought that would help me ease the pain and the hurt.
And it did to an extent, but
it definitely numbed it. It numbs it for a moment, but what it don't do is erases it, you know. And
you always have to
I did not know until I started my journey in sobriety that I numbed it, but I was never dealing with it. I never faced it head on.
And what were some of the things that you felt when you were going through those situations of being out and numb? Because people look and we see people out on the streets and we be like, how did that happen? That couldn't be me. But they don't understand when you're going through that season and storm of just trying to handle the storm, you're doing things to what we call numbing the pain is really helping us in some form or format to just get through to the next day. You know, what were some of your thoughts and how did you handle the come down part? Because I know no matter how high you get or drunk, when you start coming down, you got to face those demons yet again.
Yes, and that's just the life of a person that uses any type of mind-altering substance on an everyday basis.
That can be
sex. I'm not gonna say everybody because there's some people like myself. It never felt regular not to be intoxicated. Right?
Elaborate what you mean by that.
I remember being frustrated when I couldn't get intoxicated. You know, and that was a bad day for me or a bad moment for me.
Because being high was normal.
I used to get high so much. You know, I started getting high. I took my first drink of alcohol at the age of 13. And of course, I thought I was a teenager. I thought I was grown at the time. Me and my friends, you know, dabbling in alcohol at that time. I was introduced to alcohol. And you know, I would drink on the weekends then at that time. I never got drunk during school. Never got drunk during the week. I was a young athlete. You know, I was playing football, basketball, things of that nature. But I remember when I graduated high school, I made a conscious decision because I was happy and excited that I graduated high school because the circle of people I was in, nobody was in school. So I was the only person in my immediate circle to graduate from high school. And I was an athlete and everything, but I remember when I graduated, I just said, well, it's time to celebrate now. And I made it an everyday thing to get intoxicated, you know, smoke weed and drink. And so that's when my everyday usage started, you know, when I was 19 years old.
Became normal.
In 93, it just became normal. And, you know, the same when it's strength in numbers. Yeah, so.
More people were doing that versus.
Everybody's doing this. You know, and I always reflect on it now, how weak I was. The majority, always doing what the majority was doing, no matter if it was good or bad. But when you know something bad, but you see the majority of people doing it, then, you know, I tricked myself into thinking it was good, it was okay.
But as you see our kids nowadays, and so many are getting caught up in murders, they get in charges, they fall into your picture, you were older. It these teens nowadays living that life because they're following their peers.
And peer pressure is real.
It is.
Some people are mentally strong, you know, because I look at some of my classmates and some of the people that we thought were squares.
Yeah.
Or Bammers, as we used to, you know, call
the
them.
nerd,
you know,
and out, you know, you're not with the popular crew.
Right, and they wasn't participating in the street stuff like we was. When I look at those people now, right, it's more of them than it is us that was in the streets. I lost a lot of friends.
To the grave.
Yes, to the penitentiary. You know, and I look at the ones that we used to call squares and Bammers now. Most of them, and the majority of them, are very productive people.
Those are the ones that you sometimes go to, hey, can you hire me? I'm looking for a job.
And I'm talking about the same people that grew up in the same neighborhood, sometimes the same apartment building that I grew up in. They just made a better decision at that time in their life to, that's not what I want to do.
But I think that a lot of our children just need structure. So when you see our young kids, and you know, DC is a state where marijuana is legalized, and the kids are just smoking to be smoking. When you see them, what is something that you start thinking about, and what would you say to those kids nowadays? Because weed is a trend, it's popular, it's the thing, and drinking. You know, everybody got Casamigos, or they want to show the bottle. And what would you say to those teens?
First thing I say to myself is they go out. That's first of all.
I like that you don't point, but
yeah,
you're doing this.
Because I remember when I was an adolescent like that, and you could not walk up to me and use your age and your experience against me. Right? I'm gonna revolt a certain way, and it's gonna be a problem. So I make sure I don't do that either, because I still remember me as a young child like that. I can block someone's journey, right? By just trying to block them, just getting in their way. Like, hold up, man, you don't need to be, you know, when, you know, they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. And by me getting in their way, I can, a resentment could be built against me with them. Sometimes, you know, I learned today, I just love on individuals, right? I tell them what I've been through, and my hope and prayer is that because they understand what I've been through, that if they get to that moment, because I never stepped on them, I never pissed them off, because, you know, whatever like that, that they'll be able to come to me.
And then listen and be able to open up. Do your children know of that picture in your past?
Yes, indeed. You know, my oldest child is 16. My biological child is 16.
Girl or boy?
A girl.
What did she say?
She know.
But what did she say?
She didn't know that it was. She didn't know that, like, I was like sleeping. That I would sleep anywhere like that. But she knew that it was a problem.
So when she saw that picture, what was her response?
She was just like, wow. But she understand my story. You know what I'm saying? I don't have enough for my kids. They know exactly. Maybe my youngest, she's 10 now. So 6 years ago she was 4. So, you know, they probably remember me, you know, smoking weed and stuff like that.
But not knowing how far it went.
Right. But my oldest definitely know the difference of me, who I was compared to who I was towards the end of that.
So she knows the bad versus the good daddy.
One of the first things they said, I remember, because in May of 2016, I entered treatment.
Okay.
Right? And one of the guidelines of that treatment facility was, you know, you be on blackout for 60 days.
Who?
Blackout, meaning you had no contact with no one outside of the treatment facility.
Okay.
Right? No phone, no nothing. You can't call. You know, you can contact people, let them know where you at, but no.
That's it.
No nothing. So I was able to contact my kid's mom and let them know where I was at. But after the 60 days, I was able to get a pass out of the treatment facility. So the first thing I did was set up a meeting with my kids and stuff like that. And I remember when we was meeting on Pennsylvania Avenue, because I got hooked up with a psychologist and a therapist and things of that nature, and they was gonna meet me at one of my appointments. And I remember when I got on the bus and I was walking towards them, they didn't even recognize who I was.
Wow.
Until I was like, they was like, Daddy, you know, because I gained a lot of weight in treatment. And say that, you know, I went in treatment, I was like 177, 170. That particular day, you know, I was like 240.
Because your body was recovering.
Yeah, yes indeed. I was just eating good and stuff and living different. So, and I asked my kids, right? I remember asking them, is there anything that they noticed different and stuff like that at that time and stuff like that? And my kids told me, they said, you smell different. You know what I'm saying?
Good, because they remember the smell of the alcohol and
everything. You know, but the reason why I say that is because we never know the effect we have on people. Some people just don't. They just want to love on you regardless. You know what I'm saying? Just because of who you were and who you may be at that moment. But you know, it's definitely a trickle down effect. Like we affect a lot of people when we. I like to say, I don't like to use lifestyle, but I like to call it the death style.
I wanna get a jab, wanna get a jab. Every second, yeah, every second, yeah. I wanna get a jab, I wanna make love, so bring your body near. Girl, you make them sex sounds that I wanna hear. In my booth, you know what you gotta do. When I grip them thighs and hips, you give me them ad-libs like
welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that break. Remember, you guys, make sure you check out the artists that are on the show as well as the businesses that we are promoting, because they can help you with something that you may need. But before we left, I was talking to my special guest, who's very special because this interview is great. I love it. We were talking about the fact that support. And I had said to him that when people love you, they're going to always love you and be around. And your response you were going into was, that's not true.
Right, that's not 100% true.
Okay.
And let me explain what I mean by that. So, at one time I thought that no matter what, right, the people that stick by you no matter what, love you. Which is true. That's definitely true, right? And the people that don't stick by you, mainly when you're going through something that you cause on yourself,
don't love you.
They don't love you. And that's the part I was saying today. I know that's not true. Because when I was committing suicide slowly, as I like to say, I was
in the death style.
In the death style, slowly committing suicide. It was a lot of people that I knew loved me, right? But they couldn't stand by and watch me continue to kill myself. So they had to separate themselves from me, for their own mental.
But at that time, were you upset with them and felt like they
yes,
loved
indeed.
you and cared?
Yeah, I went on a lot of, because they would voice their opinion, you know.
Black slang, when he says I went on, AKA that means I possibly cussed a couple of folks out.
Yeah, you know, one of my beautiful queen sisters, you know, contacted me one time and she's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, yeah. And I told her, like, you know, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, what I'm saying is, you can't receive anything if your mental state not right. Like, you know, like when you cause harm to someone, and someone lets you know that they are harmed, that they are hurt, and you receive it as a punch to you, instead of looking at yourself like, you know what?
Maybe I did do that.
Maybe I did do that. You know, so that's the point I was making when I say that. Just because people don't stick around when you're going through stuff, and mainly stuff that you're putting on yourself, that they don't love you, that's not true. Because sometimes people love you so much that they can't stand by and watch you hurt yourself.
After you went into recovery and it just started acknowledging what you did, did you go back and apologize to her and other people?
I had to, because when I was in treatment, I learned I learned the word amends. I never heard that word ever before. You know, I grew up in Southeast, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X Avenue, you know, Ward 8. We wasn't talking about making amends to people. Right.
That means putting things back together, yes, mending it for those who don't know.
Making a conscious and thoughtful apology. But we wasn't talking about things like that in our conversations.
We just move on.
So by the time I hit treatment, I learned another word too, resentment. Okay. Because I learned that I was carrying a lot of resentments in my life too, from things that happened years and years and years ago, and I used those resentments as a reason to do what I was doing. I always like to use this as an example. You know, I do got a sense of humor, but I remember when in elementary school, you probably remember, like now ladies and jingles, right? So I would be mad at some of my friends. You know, we in our 30s and stuff now, because they didn't get me annihilated when we was in elementary school.
Big pettiness.
Right? And what I'm saying is, carrying that resentment for so long and never dealing with it. And resentment is a pain revisited, right? Replay over and over and over again. You know, and I wasn't able to really learn and be introduced to those things until I was separated from those mind-altering substances and stuff like that. You know, but to answer your question, yes, I did make amends to my kid's mom and anybody that I thought I harmed or I bothered through what I was doing. I had to, because I feel like that was my responsibility. I was taught that that was my responsibility.
So when you had to go back and ask these people for forgiveness and to amend these relationships, was that hard to do, to accept your shit, to sit in your shit, acknowledge your shit, and then go back and tell them what you did and ask for forgiveness for your shit?
That's always a hard thing to do, especially when you are powered by ego, right? Your ego's so big, you don't never want no one to look at you as if you are a problem or was a problem.
Mind you, you guys, he's 6'5" too. So he's one of those big guys that, you know, the ego can go all the way up with them.
But I tell the truth, by the time I hit treatment and I was introduced to a new way of living,
you was ready for it.
I knew that's what I had to do. Like I said, I was separated from one way of thinking, and I was introduced to a new way of thinking, and I knew for a fact, dang, I wronged this person. Dang. So,
did they all forgive you?
Everyone is not going to. That's you know, everyone is not going to forgive you.
And you had to accept that.
You have to accept it.
Which is a whole nother situation.
A whole nother situation.
An emotional thing.
But what I was taught and what I learned is that things like that, two things, maybe three, but for one, when you make amends to someone or when you apologize to someone that you knew for a fact you did not intentionally do something to them, to hurt them or anything like that, you are responsible for your side of the street, right? Meaning, if I harm you and I feel like I really harmed you, then I have to make amends to you. And
if I don't want to forgive you, you have to accept it.
That's on you.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I've done my part. Now, once I make an amends to you, that's on you. So that's one part. Sometimes people will never accept it no matter what.
Right.
The second part is, so now my amends have to be in my behavior.
Okay, actions speak louder than words.
And how I walk from there forward. So I learned that a real amends is a living amends. Meaning you can say anything out your mouth, but your behavior and your actions are going to speak louder than that. So I learned that I have to hold myself to a high responsibility. Some people, I might not never see again until you can make amends to them.
But you forgave yourself.
Yes, and letting people off the hook that I feel like probably harm me, and learning how to look at it as what part did I play in that harm. Which is some big,
that's big
grown up stuff.
Because you played a part in allowing them to do that, although they did that wrong to you.
Not even if I played a part in somebody doing something wrong to me, I played a part in me continue to revisit that pain.
Okay.
Because now I'm sitting in here, and I'm just using you as an example. You harmed me,
but you still coming back forward.
You harmed me in 2010. Here it is, 2022, and I'm still hurt because of what you've done, and you living your best life, right? Somewhere else. You're not even thinking about me. So who is responsible for the pain that I feel? It's me. So
that hits on many levels, from relationships to
everything. But once that seed was planted in me to look at life and look at myself that way, I finally learned how to deal with life. Finally, wow! I never was able to look at myself. When I feel hurt, when I feel pain, I always looked at where that came from, which was outside of me.
So take us to that day where you said, enough is enough. I'm sick of this. I'm going to get help.
All right, so like I told you, my birthday May 17th.
Taurus, baby.
Taurus gang. My daughter's birthday is May the 19th. So at this particular point of my life, I was not only homeless, but I was shelterless too. Right?
Shelterless meaning you wasn't in the.
I didn't. Yeah, my sister asked me. My youngest sister asked me to leave her house May the 1st.
Okay.
She just good. She said, "I can't take this no more, man. I can't take it no more."
Okay.
You know, I was taking advantage of her. I was living with her. I wasn't paying no bills or nothing. She was just allowing me to. I was running in and out.
You're gonna help so many people.
Handling all my transactions out of her house. She was helping me house my kids when I would have them.
Okay.
And everything, but I abused.
Enough is enough.
Her, and she just, which I feel like today, this is one of the biggest. If it wasn't for her standing up to me, I would never be where I'm at today. And this is my little sister. And she told me, "Bo, you have to leave May the 1st. And I told her, this is how delusional I was. I said, well, that's fine. I can live off the land. And I was confident that I can do that. But so at this particular point in my life, just to paint the platform, I was sleeping I was sleeping anywhere I can find a place to sleep.
Outside.
Not outside, but
And people, pillow to post.
anywhere, pillow to post. You know what I'm saying? But I had a particular place where I would go, which is like a laundromat in an apartment building. And this apartment building, I grew up in this apartment building years ago in the 80s. And so that was one of my safe havens. And in this laundromat, I had me a comforter that I would hide in the ceiling when I'm not there. You know, in the tiles in the ceiling. And that's what I would do. You know, after a long day or a long night of doing whatever I was doing, and it's time for me to get some rest, I would go to the laundromat, get the comforter, lay down,
and go to sleep.
And get some rest. And I would lay down a certain way where as though if someone trying to come into the laundromat, my feet would be against it. So, you know,
didn't care about the mice or?
I didn't care about anything, right? And that's how I conducted my life for those days when I didn't have no shelter at all.
Leading up to that.
Right. So it was the 17th. I'll never forget. That was a Tuesday. My daughter's birthday was that Thursday, the 19th. And this is the first time I ever felt the way I felt. That I could not call my daughter. I did not feel man enough to call my daughter and wish her a happy birthday. She was turning 10 years old that year. And I couldn't gather up enough fortitude to call my daughter and wish her a happy birthday because I did not want her to see me how I was and, you know, hear or anything. So,
that was the crushing part.
that was the crushing part. So, that Friday night, the 18th that night, because now I'm hanging my head, because I'm like, man, what? You know, I ain't never did no crazy stuff like this, man. I'm just feeling way down. Even though a lot of circumstances was taking place up to that point that would let me know that this is
enough is enough.
Enough is enough, but
rock bottom was there.
Yeah, but that was the initial thing, and I remember it was a Friday night, Saturday morning. I went to the laundromat to go lay down, and I got the comforter out the ceiling and I laid it down on the floor. And before I can lay down, you know, something happened, and it was in my voice. It said, "Bo, what the fuck is wrong with you? Look at you. Is this how you want to die? This shit is, you know." And for the first time, I was able to acknowledge that voice and hear it and be like, "Damn, you know what? Man, I'm tripping, man." You know, I finally heard it and acknowledged it and realized that something has to, you know. And I remember I cried for help to my higher power at that moment, and nothing happened. Like nothing fell out the sky, or nothing. So.
But what fell?
I thought. And what happened was, a thought came across my mind to contact a person and let them know that I need some help. And I contacted that person, which is someone that I truly love today, man. I love this brother so much.
He was ready.
He's a brother in our community though too. I don't like just using his name just to, you know, but I contacted this brother. And like I said, it was Saturday, early morning Saturday, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I sent the text out to him, and he texted me back, because I couldn't go back, I couldn't sleep. I walked around, and he contacted me back and told me, it's the first, I told him, I said, man, I've been homeless, I've been on drugs real hard, I don't have no place, man, I need some help. And he told me, brother, hold on until Monday. There's nothing I can do at this moment. But if you go hold on until Monday,
I got you.
I got you. So I did my best to hold on till Monday. That particular Sunday, because my phone was not working,
he was there.
it was just Wi-Fi. So that Sunday I was able, someone let me use their phone. I was able to call my daughter and tell her happy birthday. I never thought about my daughter was running where the hell I was at. Because I haven't talked to her in a little while. And I remember just crying. I cried that whole week out, just crying and crying. But when that Monday morning came, I reached out to him. I held my end of the bargain. He held his end, right? We met up, and he took me, which is, the place is called the Ark today. It's down on, I think it's 75 Florida Avenue, right across from the Wendy's, where they do an assessment for you. And he made sure that I got to that place. And I got there, went through the assessment process, and they found a treatment facility for me.
They were ready.
And I went, that was my first day in the treatment. That was May 23rd, 2016.
Hallelujah, you know.
And that was the best day of my life.
The beginning.
The beginning.
The beginning.
The beginning. Yeah.
Of the end.
Yes.
The end to the beginning and the beginning to the end. You know, you guys, these stories bless me in so many ways, especially when you hear them, because you just heard Dr. Lavelle alone in his interview with me talk about the voice. And you know, when you hear people talk about voices, you instantly think, oh, they're crazy and this and that. But these particular voices that they're talking about, and you've heard me talk about, they come, and it's something about it that confirms or lets you know that it's your higher power speaking to you. And after you hear that voice, either you change and get it together, or you get taken off this earth. That's just how it goes. And if you're hearing voices that are the good voices, that's your God and your higher power saying something to you to pull you in. So I just wanted to say that. Last question for you is, we already talked and discussed you going into the rehab and apologizing and then becoming this new person. My question for you now is, what are you doing, or what does it take to stay sober? Because I know that there is a battle. How do you do it?
So like I said, I went to treatment. And I let the people treat me, first of all.
Okay. You accepted treatment?
Yes, I had to.
Okay.
And I met people that been through the same thing I've been through, and overcame.
That surrounding thing.
So what I did was follow the path of those people, and apply teachings, and just apply things to my life, and just made better decisions on living a different way of life. So today, what I do is to give you a little insight of a day for me. When I wake up in the morning, I used to say these elongated prayers and stuff like that, but today, I realized that the only thing I was doing was bumming, asking God for all this stuff. Give me this. Whereas though today, I feel like I already have everything I need. It's my responsibility to search for it and follow the path that's already been laid already. Because things that I asked for might not be for the good of me, right? So I think the shortest prayer I use is I just thank my higher power for waking me up. That's the most beautiful thing that I can ever receive in life is waking up. And today I understand that I didn't wake me up. I was awakened. So if I was awakened, then I have a purpose.
So after your prayer?
So after my prayer, I get up and I just try and do the next right thing.
Have you ever felt like going back?
So, because I did and I lived a certain way for so long, the thought process always comes. It just doesn't just go away. A certain lifestyle for over 30-something odd years. So, like I said, I've been sober for 6 years. It just doesn't evaporate that easy like that.
So you always had that battle, that fight.
Always. It's just that today I have tools that I can use. And one of the biggest tools I use is my story.
To remind you.
To remind me. When that thought process comes, right, I have a talk with myself.
And what about stressful days when it's overwhelmingly stress on you and that other voice comes and say, you might as well take a smoke, go have a drink?
Today I know that's not going to cure anything. That's not the answer. The answer is dealing with life on life terms. Like dealing with life. When I put down the drugs and the alcohol and stuff like that, 2016, I finally started mourning my mother's death the proper way. Because I couldn't hide from it no more. I couldn't hide behind the drug, I couldn't hide behind. And what it did was, I learned tools to deal with life and deal with situations that I never learned or I never chose to use ever in life. And just deal with it, just live through it.
You know, I also had another guest on, you guys may remember, the author Lokesh, and he talked about the only 1% of people find themselves. This would be considered the 1%, the true self. Like, you have to go through that pain, you have to fight, and then you have to wake up every day, accept who you are, and do everything you can to keep from going back. But you can't not go back until you find the real you, because you always got a reason to go back. I'm not good enough, I don't look good enough, I don't have enough money, these people left me, my home ain't right. You know, it's always a reason to pick up a drink or do a drug or even take your life.
But you mentioned in the topic, the rock bottom, right? So my rock bottom is vivid in my head today. I don't need nobody to remind me of anything.
You printed it.
It is vivid in my head today. So I'm grateful that I can remember it.
And you never will go back.
No, but the beautiful thing about that rock bottom is the foundation was built upon that. Right? So
from the solid rock I stand.
Yes. So if it wasn't for that bottom, then I wouldn't be
standing on top right now. Right. On top.
But I learned that people have to hit a bottom to turn around. That's just like if we driving down the street. Sometimes we might have to hit a wall to know not to go that way.
Because you'll keep going that way.
You're going to keep crashing into them, you know. But the crazy thing about my life is I had bottoms all throughout my life. I just never acknowledged them as a bottom.
It wasn't hard enough.
It wasn't hard enough. My tolerance for pain was high.
6'5", you guys. I told you that. So he brought that ego in him with that height. Probably was, who do you think you are? And God got to chop that elephant down until he break it. I thank you once again. How can the people connect with you?
Facebook, you can find me at Bomani Perkins Sr. On Instagram, the real King Bomani, the _real_ King Bomani.
Now you know how we are. Is it T-H-E or D-A?
No, I said the.
Okay.
The.
You gotta say it that way.
T-H-E _REAL_ KINGBOMANI.
Yeah, you gotta spell that first name too. And follow him on there, because from there, he's going to start birthing other things that you can support within him. But most importantly, you guys, our youth, rehabilitation centers, prisons, and even churches need to contact people like him to come in and talk, because people have a way of covering up and hiding a lot of things. But when you see your mirror reflection, you kind of gravitate to it. So you might can't touch a person or reach them like he can, because like he said, when he went to rehab, he gravitated to people who already laid the way and told him how to do it. He accepted the treatment and was able to come out of his rock bottom on foundation. So a lot of times our youth don't want to hear it from their parents. They don't want to hear it from their uncles. They don't want to hear it from anybody can't show up and say, I literally went through it. You want to leave us with something?
Yeah, first I want to tell you thank you for reaching out and asking me to be of service and, you know, try to get some hope and strength to someone.
Not try, you did.
Yes. And also, if anyone is touched by this interview and, you know, think that they might need some help or something, they can contact me. But most importantly, I always love to help people, but I can only help those that want to be helped. And those that acknowledge that they have a problem. Because if you don't think you have a problem, then there's no solution to a non-problem. So that's one thing that I always like to share, because I get a lot of people contact me all the time, third-party custody. Can you help?
Such and such. And
that such and such don't want to be helped because they don't think they have a problem. So just like we talked about earlier, you don't want to disrupt no one's journey by telling them they have a problem and they don't think they have a problem. It's not their time yet. So, and that's about it. Like I said, I want to say thank you. I'm grateful today, and that's about it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know that there's purpose behind what you're doing, because you don't look like, well, I don't know how you got from that picture to this. But I do know a God that can do that. So I know that he's real and present in your life. You guys, this is the Stubbs Show. This is Mr. Perkins. You guys make sure you connect with him. We're out. Have a good day.
It's gonna be tragic. Told you I was savage, not leaving you lavish. Black legend. It's gonna be tragic. Told you I was savage, not leaving you lavish. Put you on my spell, you won't go nowhere. Claim you gonna leave me, you can go to hell. Sprinkle you with magic dust. I'm the only one that you can trust. It's no you without us. I be on your mind all the freaking time. When you in your bed, you see me out the corner of your eye. You won't find joy without me. Ain't no need crying, that's the way it's gonna be now. Black legend, it's gonna